Firefighters are facing risk like never before. Buildings built with new age petroleum materials burn hotter and faster.
There's a risk of death, higher risk of cancer.
Mara Halley knows and accepts the risks. The Anne Arundel County firefighter took a traditional path to a career in the fire service.
Started off as a volunteer in my hometown, and then I was fortunate enough to get hired as a career firefighter.
But in Maryland and Virginia and across the country, the volunteer fire service is being extinguished. The nation's leading fire safety organization believes the risk, costs of training, and unpredictable schedule hurt recruiting.
Is this a rural problem, or is this a problem that's going to affect big urban areas?
I think it's both. I think, even larger career departments are seeing issues recruiting new firefighters and then, retaining them.
Look no farther than the nation's capital. DC Fire and EMS is one of the only career departments in the U.S. While there aren't any volunteer firefighters in D.C., just like in Anne Arundel County, many of them started as volunteers. Some came from Virginia, where 91% of the state's public safety leaders are reporting a decrease in volunteer fire and EMS providers. At the same time, they say calls for service have increased by 40%.
Mainly my concern is not having enough firefighters, on the engine, on a truck, so that when, you get a call, you're shy of the amount of people that you need to get that job done safely.
In Maryland, roughly 61% of the state's firefighters are volunteers. In Virginia, about 71% are. According to the U.S. Fire Administration, the DMV has more individual fire departments today than it did back in 2017, but fewer volunteers to staff them. In the DMV, the shortage hasn't hurt response times yet. D.C., Montgomery County, and Arlington County all report meeting national fire response standards more than 95% of the time. What is falling is firefighter safety. As the number of firefighters fall, the number of killed or hurt climbs. The U.S. Fire Administration shows in Maryland 5 firefighters died in 2022, 3 died in 2021, and none in 2020. It's not a trend anyone wants to see continue.
Everybody needs to go home. Get involved. Volunteer. Try something new.
During our investigation, we did not find a single fire department in the DMV that wasn't either hiring or looking for volunteers. One of the things that is surprising is that most of the calls that firefighters go out on, they're not for fires, they are for medical emergencies, which points to a emerging problem of a paramedic shortage. Actually, in DC Fire and EMS is starting a paramedic school this fall to try to get ahead of the shortage. It's the latest in Washington. For the I-Team, I'm Mitch Blocker, 7 News.